There is a strange contradiction in the world we live in. Never before has it been so easy to tell everyone what you're thinking, what you're planning, where you're going, and what you're about to accomplish. A single post can announce your ambitions to hundreds of people. A few words can invite applause before you've taken the first step. We're encouraged to share everything: our goals, our routines, our victories, and even our struggles, as if constant visibility is the price of success. Yet, despite all this noise, many people feel more anxious, distracted, and unfulfilled than ever before. The harder they try to be seen, the more invisible they become. The louder they speak about their dreams, the less energy they seem to have to pursue them. And somewhere along the way, they begin living for reactions instead of results. This is not a new problem. More than 18 centuries ago, long before smartphones, social media, or endless notifications, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius observed something remarkably similar. He understood that the greatest battles were never fought on distant frontiers, but within the human mind itself. He knew that our desire for recognition often steals our ability to grow in silence. His advice was surprisingly simple: focus on yourself. Stay silent. At first glance, these words may seem passive, even insignificant. After all, modern culture often celebrates those who speak the loudest, promote themselves the most, and constantly demand attention. Silence is sometimes mistaken for weakness. Quiet people are overlooked. Those who choose privacy are assumed to lack confidence. But Stoicism teaches something entirely different. Silence is not the absence of strength. Silence is controlled strength. There is a profound difference between having nothing to say and choosing not to say everything. The strongest oak tree does not announce its growth every morning. It simply grows. Day after day, season after season, while storms come and go. Its roots deepen quietly beneath the surface where no one can see them. Only years later does the world admire its strength. Human character develops in much the same way. Real confidence rarely demands attention. Real discipline rarely seeks applause. Real wisdom rarely argues for recognition. Think about the people who have left the deepest impression on your life. Chances are, they were not the loudest individuals in the room. They did not need to dominate every conversation or convince everyone of their importance. Their presence alone carried a quiet certainty. They listened more than they spoke. They observed before they acted. When they finally chose to speak, their words carried weight because they had not wasted them. This is the forgotten power of silence. Unfortunately, most people spend their lives moving in the opposite direction. Instead of investing their energy in becoming stronger, they invested in appearing strong. Instead of mastering themselves, they become experts at managing other people's opinions. Every criticism feels personal. Every compliment becomes necessary. Every disagreement turns into a battle to prove themselves right. Slowly, without realizing it, their emotional state becomes controlled by forces outside themselves. A stranger's opinion ruins their day. A coworker's success makes them question their own worth. A lack of online attention makes them feel invisible. The Stoics warned against this trap because they understood a timeless truth. The moment your peace depends on external approval, your freedom begins to disappear. Imagine carrying a cup filled to the very edge with water. Every bump along the road causes it to spill. Now imagine carrying that same cup only half full. Suddenly, the journey becomes much easier. Your mind works the same way. When your identity is overflowing with the need for validation, every criticism feels devastating. Every rejection shakes your confidence. Every setback seems unbearable. But when your sense of self is built from within, the world loses much of its power to disturb you. That is why focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is essential. It means directing your limited energy toward the one person you can truly improve, you. It means accepting that you cannot control how others think, behave, or judge you, but you can always control how you respond. This is where silence becomes your greatest ally. Silence creates space. Space to observe, space to think, space to understand yourself before reacting to the world. In that quiet space, discipline begins to replace impulse. Wisdom begins to replace emotion. Clarity begins to replace confusion. The world often mistakes movement for progress, but Stoicism reminds us that not every action deserves our attention. Sometimes the most powerful decision is not to argue, not to explain, not to defend yourself, not to seek the final word. Instead, you continue through your work quietly while others waste their energy chasing approval. Because in the end, results speak a language that excuses never can. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore why silence has been one of history's greatest hidden strengths, why focusing on yourself transforms every area of your life, and how the ancient wisdom of the Stoics aligns remarkably well with what modern psychology now tells us about confidence, discipline, and lasting fulfillment. The journey begins with a simple question. If silence is so powerful, why are so many people afraid of it? If silence is so powerful, why do so many people struggle with it? Why does the urge to explain ourselves feel almost irresistible? Why do we announce our plans before we've begun, defend ourselves against every criticism, or constantly wonder what others think of us? The answer is deeper than a lack of discipline. It lies within the way the human mind has evolved over thousands of years. Long before cities, technology, or social media existed, our ancestors survived by belonging to a tribe. Acceptance wasn't merely comforting, it was essential for survival. Being accepted meant protection, food, and companionship. Being rejected could mean isolation, and isolation often meant death. Because of this, the human brain became remarkably sensitive to approval and rejection. Even today, although our environment has changed dramatically, our minds still react as if social acceptance is a matter of life and death. That is why criticism can linger in your thoughts for days, while a compliment is forgotten within hours. It's why a careless remark from a stranger can affect your mood more than dozens of encouraging words from those who genuinely care about you. Your brain isn't trying to make you miserable. It's simply following an ancient survival program. The problem is that this program no longer serves us in the same way. Today, approval has become endless. There is always another audience to impress, another opinion to worry about, another comparison to make, another expectation to satisfy. Many people unknowingly spend their entire lives chasing something that can never truly satisfy them. Think about the last time you achieved a goal. Perhaps you earned a promotion, finished an important project, or accomplished something you had worked toward for months. For a brief moment, you felt proud. But how long did that feeling last? Usually, not very long. Soon, the mind begins searching for the next achievement, the next compliment, the next sign that you're doing well enough. This is known as the hedonic treadmill, the tendency to quickly adapt to positive experiences and return to our usual emotional baseline. External validation provides only temporary satisfaction, encouraging us to seek more and more without ever feeling complete. The Stoics understood this pattern centuries before psychology gave it a name. They realized that anything dependent on external circumstances is unstable by nature. If your confidence depends on applause, it disappears when the applause stops. If your happiness depends on praise, criticism becomes unbearable. If your peace depends on being understood, every misunderstanding feels like an attack. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself repeatedly that another person's opinion belongs to them, not to you. Their judgments reflect their own experiences, beliefs, fears, and expectations. They cannot define your character unless you allow them to. Yet most people do exactly that. Someone questions their ability. They immediately begin explaining themselves. Someone misunderstands their intentions. They rush to defend every decision. Someone doubts their dreams. They spend hours trying to convince them otherwise. But every explanation carries an invisible cost. It shifts your attention away from your own growth and toward managing someone else's perception. Imagine carrying two heavy backpacks. One contains your responsibilities, your habits, your goals, and your personal development. The other contains everyone else's expectations, opinions, criticisms, and judgments. Which one will slow you down? Many people unknowingly carry both. Every day, the Stoics encourage us to set down the second backpack. Not because other people don't matter, but because their opinions are ultimately beyond your control. Epictetus taught that freedom begins when we clearly distinguish between what is within our control and what is not. Your actions? Within your control. Your effort? Within your control. Your integrity? Within your control. Another person's approval? Never fully within your control. When you forget this distinction, anxiety begins to grow. You become exhausted trying to influence outcomes that were never yours to control in the first place. Modern psychology confirms this idea through what researchers call the locus of control. People with an internal locus of control believe their lives are shaped primarily by their own choices and actions. They tend to be more resilient, more disciplined, and better equipped to recover from setbacks. Those with an external locus of control often believe their happiness depends on circumstances outside themselves, other people's opinions, luck, recognition, or approval. As a result, they are more likely to experience chronic stress and emotional instability. Stoicism naturally trains the mind toward an internal locus of control. Instead of asking, "Do they respect me?" the Stoic asks, "Am I behaving in a way worthy of respect?" Instead of asking, "Do they believe in me?" the Stoic asks, "Am I doing the work that deserves belief?" Notice the difference. One question hands your power away. The other keeps it where it belongs. This shift may seem small, but it changes everything. When your attention returns to your own actions, your energy becomes available again. Instead of arguing, you improve. Instead of comparing, you practice. Instead of seeking permission, you begin building. That is why silence is so effective. Silence interrupts the endless cycle of seeking validation. It creates room for honest self-reflection. Rather than asking the world who you are, you begin discovering the answer yourself. Unfortunately, modern life constantly encourages the opposite. We're taught to announce our goals before we've earned them, to broadcast every achievement, to measure our worth through likes, comments, and followers. But something curious happens when you tell everyone about your plans. For a brief moment, your brain experiences a small reward, as if part of the goal has already been accomplished. Psychologists have observed that publicly declaring ambitions can sometimes reduce the motivation to pursue them because the recognition arrives before the effort is complete. The satisfaction of talking begins to replace the satisfaction of doing. This is why some of the most disciplined people rarely speak about what they're building. They understand that every ounce of energy spent proving themselves is energy not spent improving themselves. Their focus remains where it belongs, on the work, on the process, on becoming stronger each day. They don't need constant reassurance because their confidence grows quietly through repeated action. Like a sculptor shaping marble, they understand that transformation happens one deliberate strike at a time. No applause is necessary, no announcement is required, only consistent effort. The world often notices the finished masterpiece. Very few ever witness the thousands of quiet moments that created it. And perhaps that is exactly how it should be. Because the greatest transformations rarely happen in front of an audience. They happen in silence. They happen when no one is watching. They happen when your only competition is the person you were yesterday. Imagine waking up each morning knowing that an entire empire depends on your decisions. Millions of people look to you for leadership. Generals await your commands. Politicians compete for your favor. Enemies gather at your borders, while betrayal hides within your own palace. Every mistake could cost thousands of lives. Every decision carries consequences that echo across generations. Now ask yourself this: how would you respond to such pressure? Would you seek constant praise? Would you argue with every critic? Would you spend your days proving your worth to others? Marcus Aurelius faced these realities every single day. As the ruler of the Roman Empire, he possessed more power than almost anyone alive. If anyone had the right to demand admiration, it was him. Yet he spent much of his private life writing reminders, not about conquering others, but about conquering himself. His personal journal, known today as Meditations, was never intended for publication. It wasn't written to impress historians or inspire future generations. It was a conversation with his own mind. Page after page, Marcus reminded himself of something that most people forget. The greatest victory is not over another person. It is over your own impulses. Every morning, before dealing with the challenges of the empire, he prepared himself for human nature. He wrote that he would meet people who were selfish, dishonest, arrogant, jealous, and difficult. Not because the world was unusually cruel, but because people often act according to their own ignorance and fears. Notice what he did not write. He didn't say he would argue with them. He didn't say he would change them. He didn't say he would spend his energy proving them wrong. Instead, he reminded himself that their behavior belonged to them. His response belonged to him. That distinction is the foundation of Stoicism. Most people wake up expecting the world to cooperate with their expectations. When reality disappoints them, frustration follows almost automatically. Marcus expected challenges. He expected misunderstandings. He expected criticism. And because he expected them, he wasn't surprised when they arrived. His peace did not depend on perfect circumstances. It depended on disciplined perception. This lesson is just as relevant today. Perhaps your battlefield isn't the Roman frontier. Perhaps it's your workplace, your relationships, your finances, your own restless thoughts. Every day, you encounter people who misunderstand you. Some underestimate your abilities. Others criticize your choices. A few may even hope to see you fail. The question is not whether these people exist. The question is whether you will allow them to occupy space inside your mind. Marcus would answer with a simple no, not because he lacked emotions, but because he understood that attention is one of life's most valuable resources. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If you spend your day replaying an argument, you've given that argument control over your peace. If you obsess over someone else's opinion, you've handed them authority they never earned. If you constantly compare your progress to another person's journey, you've abandoned your own path. Marcus repeatedly returned his attention to one place:
his own character. He believed that every moment presented an opportunity to practice virtue, not perfection, but virtue. Patience instead of anger, discipline instead of laziness, courage instead of fear, wisdom instead of impulse. He understood something profound. You cannot always choose your circumstances, but you can always choose your character within those circumstances. This idea challenges one of modern society's greatest illusions. Today, success is often measured by visibility, how many followers you have, how many people applaud your achievements, how often your name appears in conversations. Marcus measured success differently. He asked questions that very few people ask today. Did I act with integrity? Was I just? Did I remain calm under pressure? Did I fulfill my responsibilities? These questions cannot be answered by social media. They cannot be answered by strangers. Only you can answer them honestly, and perhaps that is why they are so powerful, because they shift your focus inward. There is a story often told about Marcus Aurelius during Rome's military campaigns along the Danube frontier. While many emperors celebrated luxury and comfort, Marcus spent years living among his soldiers in harsh conditions: cold winters, constant danger, long campaigns, disease, exhaustion. He did not demand an easier life simply because he held a higher position. He accepted discomfort as part of his duty. This wasn't weakness. It was discipline. Modern psychology offers an interesting perspective on this mindset. Researchers studying resilience have found that individuals who willingly accept temporary discomfort in pursuit of meaningful goals tend to develop greater emotional stability and long-term satisfaction. Avoiding every challenge weakens us. Facing challenges deliberately strengthens us. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They viewed hardship as training. Just as muscles grow stronger through resistance, character grows stronger through adversity. Every disappointment becomes an opportunity to practice patience. Every criticism becomes an opportunity to practice humility. Every setback becomes an opportunity to practice perseverance. Marcus never wished for an easier world. He worked to become a stronger person. This shift changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What can this teach me?" Instead of asking, "How do I avoid difficulty?" you ask, "How do I respond with wisdom?" The difference is subtle, but it transforms suffering into growth. Marcus also warned himself against one of humanity's oldest temptations, the desire to control what cannot be controlled. How often do we waste hours worrying about conversations that haven't happened, imagining criticism that may never come, trying to predict outcomes we cannot possibly know? These mental rehearsals consume enormous energy while producing almost nothing of value. Marcus would gently remind himself that the future belongs to tomorrow. Today belongs to action, not anxiety, not speculation, action. This is why focusing on yourself is so liberating. Your energy returns to where it has always belonged. Instead of managing appearances, you begin building substance. Instead of seeking admiration, you seek improvement. Instead of chasing recognition, you chase excellence. And over time, something remarkable happens. The opinions that once controlled you begin to lose their influence. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. You become quieter, not from fear, but from confidence. You become calmer, not because life is easier, but because your mind is stronger. You become more focused. Not because distractions disappear, but because your purpose becomes clearer. Marcus Aurelius never promised that silence would make life comfortable. He believed it would make you free, free from unnecessary conflict, free from endless comparison, free from the exhausting need to prove your worth. That freedom is not given by the world, it is earned through daily discipline. And once you experience it, you begin to understand why the wisest people throughout history often spoke the least, because they discovered something the noisy world rarely understands. The strongest voice is not always the loudest. Sometimes it is the quiet certainty of a person who no longer needs to convince anyone of who they are. There is a kind of power that never raises its voice. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't interrupt conversations. It doesn't need to prove itself. Yet, when it enters a room, people notice, not because it is loud, but because it is steady. This is the power of silence. Unfortunately, silence is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength in modern society. Many people assume that if someone speaks less, they must be insecure, shy, or lacking confidence. But confidence has never been measured by the number of words someone speaks. In fact, the opposite is often true. People who constantly explain themselves are usually trying to convince others and sometimes even themselves that they deserve respect. Those who possess genuine confidence rarely feel that need. Their actions speak long before their words ever do. Think about the ocean. On the surface, the waves crash endlessly. They are loud, chaotic, and impossible to ignore, but dive beneath the surface and everything changes. The deeper you go, the quieter it becomes. The strongest currents are hidden beneath the calm. Human character works much the same way. People who are emotionally shallow often react to everything around them. Every disagreement becomes personal. Every criticism demands an immediate response. Every insult feels like an emergency. But emotionally mature people behave differently. They pause, they observe, they think. Their silence is not hesitation, it is control. Modern psychology has an interesting explanation for this. Researchers studying emotional regulation have found that the brief space between an event and our reaction is one of the most important predictors of emotional intelligence. Most people believe emotions force them to react, but they don't. Between every stimulus and every response lies a small moment of choice. It may last only a few seconds, yet those few seconds determine whether anger becomes wisdom, whether fear becomes courage, whether frustration becomes patience. The Stoics trained themselves to live inside that space. Instead of allowing emotions to take command, they learned to observe them. Imagine someone insults you in front of your co-workers. Your first instinct might be to defend yourself immediately, to explain, to argue, to prove them wrong. But what usually happens? The argument grows, voices become louder, emotions become stronger. Neither person truly listens. Hours later, your mind is still replaying the conversation. Now imagine a different response, the same insult, the same situation. But instead of reacting instantly, you simply pause. You breathe, you say nothing, not because you have nothing to say, but because you've chosen not to surrender your peace. That silence changes everything. The other person expected conflict. Instead, they encounter composure. They expected emotion. Instead, they find restraint. Very often, people reveal more about themselves through their reactions than through their words. Your silence allows their behavior to become visible. It also protects your own character. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He reminded himself that another person's anger could never damage his virtue unless he answered anger with anger. The real danger was never the insult itself. It was becoming the kind of person who could no longer control his own mind. This lesson applies far beyond arguments. Consider the workplace. Imagine two employees. The first constantly talks about future success. Every week, they describe the business they'll build, the promotion they learn, the skills they're learning, the wealth they'll achieve. Months pass. Nothing changes. The second employee rarely speaks about personal ambitions. They arrive early. They continue learning. They improve quietly. They solve problems without seeking recognition. 1 year later, who earns respect? Not because they spoke better, because they worked better. Silence creates credibility. Words create expectations. Results create trust. The world has become full of announcements. I'm starting a new habit. I'm launching a new project. I'm changing my life. But real transformation rarely begins with an announcement. It begins with a decision made in complete silence, a decision repeated every day until it becomes part of your identity. This is why disciplined people often keep their goals private, not because they're secretive, but because they understand that unfinished work needs protection. A seed grows underground long before anyone sees a tree. If you dig it up every day to show everyone your progress, it never grows. Your dreams are much the same. Constantly exposing them to opinions, doubts, and expectations can weaken the very motivation that should be nourishing them. Protect your goals while they're still fragile. Let them develop roots before asking the world to admire the branches. There is another reason silence is so powerful. It makes you an observer. Most people spend conversations preparing their next sentence. Very few truly listen. They hear words, but they miss meaning. The Stoics believed observation was one of the greatest forms of wisdom. Because when you stop trying to impress everyone, you begin understanding everyone. You notice what people fear, what motivates them, what they avoid, what they value. You see patterns invisible to those who are constantly speaking. Silence sharpens perception, and perception leads to better decisions. Consider an experienced chess player. Their strength does not come from moving quickly. It comes from observing carefully before making a move. Life rewards the same habit. The quietest decision is often the wisest one. This doesn't mean becoming passive. Stoicism never teaches surrender. It teaches deliberate action when the time comes to speak. Speak clearly, speak honestly, speak with purpose, but never speak simply because silence feels uncomfortable. Many conversations exist only to satisfy the ego. Many arguments exist only because someone refuses to let the last word go. Many explanations exist only because we fear being misunderstood. Yet one of the greatest freedoms you'll ever experience is realizing that not everyone needs to understand you. Some people have already decided who they believe you are. No amount of explanation will change their minds. Trying to convince them only drains your energy. Your responsibility is not to control every opinion. Your responsibility is to live according to your values. Over time, consistency becomes your strongest argument. People begin trusting what they repeatedly see, not what they repeatedly hear. This is why reputation is built through actions, not speeches. The Roman philosopher Seneca once observed that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. How many conversations have you rehearsed in your head? How many arguments have you won only in your imagination? How many explanations have you prepared for people who never even asked the question? Silence interrupts this endless mental noise. Instead of rehearsing imaginary conflicts, you return to the present moment, to today's work, to today's discipline, to today's opportunity. There is extraordinary peace in this way of living, not because life becomes easier, but because your attention stops wandering into places where it has no power. Every hour spent worrying about another person's opinion is an hour stolen from becoming the person you want to be. Every argument you choose not to enter becomes time invested in your own growth. Every unnecessary explanation you refuse to give becomes another brick in the foundation of your self-respect. Eventually, people begin noticing something different about you. You no longer react to every opinion. You no longer chase every opportunity for validation. You no longer need to prove your intelligence in every conversation. You simply continue improving, quietly, consistently, patiently, and that quiet consistency becomes impossible to ignore, because while the world is busy talking, you are becoming. Understanding the philosophy of Stoicism is one thing. Living it is something else entirely. Many people enjoy reading inspiring quotes. They underline passages from Marcus Aurelius. They save motivational videos. They fill notebooks with powerful ideas. But after a few days, nothing changes. Why? Because wisdom without action becomes entertainment. The Stoics never studied philosophy simply to feel inspired. They practiced it because they believed philosophy should shape every decision, every habit, and every moment of daily life. Knowledge becomes power only when it becomes behavior. If you truly want to focus on yourself and stay silent, you need habits that quietly transform your character from the inside out, not for a week, not for a month, but for life. Let's begin with the first habit. Habit 1. Start every morning by leading your own mind. Before the world has a chance to influence you, take a few moments to influence yourself. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their attention. They reach for their phones, they scroll through headlines, they compare their lives to strangers. Before they've even stepped out of bed, their mind already belongs to someone else. The Stoics would have considered this a dangerous way to begin the day. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself each morning of the kind of person he wanted to be, not the kind of day he hoped to have. There's an important difference. You cannot control what the day brings, but you can prepare the character that meets it. Ask yourself simple questions. What challenges might I face today? How will I respond with patience? How can I act with integrity regardless of what happens? These questions train your mind before life begins testing it. Eventually, calm becomes your default rather than your exception. Habit 2. Keep your goals private until they become reality. There is a quiet temptation to tell everyone about the person you're becoming. You start exercising, you announce it, you begin learning a new skill, you tell everyone, you decide to change your life. You post about it, but every announcement steals a small piece of the energy that should have gone toward the work itself. Imagine an architect standing on an empty piece of land. Instead of building the house, he spends every day describing it to the neighbors. He explains the design, the rooms, the colors, the future garden. Months later, the land is still empty. Talking about the house never built it. Your future works the same way. Build first, speak later, when people finally notice your progress. Let them discover it through your results, not through your promises. Silence protects unfinished dreams. Habit 3. Replace reaction with observation. Most conflicts begin because someone reacts before thinking. An impatient email, a careless comment, an unfair accusation. The instinct is immediate. Defend yourself, fight back, win the argument, but ask yourself something. How many arguments have actually improved your life? Very few. Most only consume your peace. The next time someone provokes you, resist the urge to respond immediately. Observe first. Ask yourself, why did this affect me? Is my ego speaking or my wisdom? Will this matter 1 year from now? Very often, the answer becomes obvious. Not every battle deserves your participation. Some victories are earned simply by refusing to fight. Habit 4. Measure progress against yesterday's version of yourself. Comparison has become one of the greatest thieves of peace. Someone always seems richer, smarter, more attractive, more successful, more accomplished. If your happiness depends on outrunning everyone else, you will spend your entire life exhausted. The Stoics chose a different standard. Yesterday, that's your only real competition. Did you become a little more patient? Did you complain less? Did you learn something new? Did you act with greater discipline? Small improvements seem insignificant in a single day, but over months, over years, they become extraordinary. A mountain is climbed one step at a time. Character is built the same way, quietly, patiently, without applause. Habit 5. Practice intentional silence every day. Most people are uncomfortable being alone with their thoughts. That discomfort explains why so many fill every empty moment with music, podcasts, television, or endless scrolling. Noise has become a form of escape, but silence reveals what distraction hides. Sit quietly for 10 minutes each day. No phone, no conversation, no entertainment. Simply observe your thoughts. At first, your mind may feel restless. Old worries may surface. Unfinished conversations may replay. Anxieties may appear. Don't resist them. Observe them, like clouds moving across the sky. The Stoics understood that thoughts are not commands. They are visitors. You decide which ones deserve your attention. Over time, silence becomes less uncomfortable. Eventually, it becomes your greatest source of clarity. Habit 6. Let your actions speak before your words. Imagine two people entering the same room. The first immediately begins describing their achievements, their ambitions, their intelligence, their success. The second says very little, but when work begins, they perform exceptionally. Which person leaves the stronger impression? Almost always the second, because competence speaks a language that requires no translation. Quiet excellence has a unique kind of authority. It doesn't demand recognition. Recognition naturally follows it. This doesn't mean becoming invisible. It means allowing your actions to introduce you before your words ever need to. Habit 7. End every day with honest reflection. One of the most powerful Stoic practices happened at night. Before sleeping, Seneca would review his entire day, not to criticize himself, not to feel guilty, but to learn. He asked simple questions. What did I do well today? Where did I lose control? How can I improve tomorrow? Imagine the difference this practice makes after 1 year. 365 opportunities to learn from yourself. 365 chances to become slightly wiser, slightly calmer, slightly stronger. Great character is rarely built through dramatic moments. It is built through thousands of quiet corrections. Small improvements repeated consistently become extraordinary transformations. As these habits become part of your life, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop chasing the image of success and start becoming successful. You stop seeking confidence and quietly develop it. You stop demanding respect and naturally earn it. Not because you changed the world, because you changed yourself. People around you may not immediately notice. Some may even misunderstand your silence. They may assume you've become distant, less ambitious, less interested, but they are only seeing the surface beneath. That silence, something powerful is taking shape. A mind that no longer panics at criticism, a heart that no longer depends on constant approval. A character rooted in discipline instead of emotion. Like a mountain standing through every season, you become less affected by passing storms. This is the transformation the Stoics sought, not a louder life, a stronger one, not more attention, more mastery, not victory over others, victory over yourself. And once that inner victory is achieved, something extraordinary happens. The opinions that once controlled you become little more than passing echoes, because when your identity is built from within, the outside world loses the power to define you. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize something that changes them forever. It usually doesn't happen during a victory. It doesn't happen when people are applauding, and it rarely happens when everything is going according to plan. It happens in silence, perhaps late at night, perhaps after a disappointment, perhaps after discovering that no matter how hard you've tried to please everyone, someone still misunderstands you. Someone still criticizes you. Someone still refuses to see your worth. And in that quiet moment, a simple question begins to form. How much of my life have I spent trying to convince other people instead of becoming the person I truly want to be? That question has the power to change everything, because the truth is, most people never fail because they lack talent. They fail because their attention is scattered. They invest enormous amounts of energy managing appearances, defending themselves, comparing their lives to others, and chasing approval that disappears almost as quickly as it arrives. Meanwhile, the truly remarkable people are usually doing something very different. They're working quietly, patiently, consistently. They understand something that the Stoics recognized centuries ago. The loudest person is rarely the strongest. The strongest person is the one who remains faithful to their principles when no one is watching. Character is not built in moments of recognition. Character is built in moments of privacy. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you refuse to react in anger, every time you continue working after everyone else has stopped believing, you are becoming someone new. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily, like water carving through stone. So slowly that the change is almost invisible, yet so consistently that over time, even the hardest obstacles begin to give way. Modern culture celebrates sudden transformation, instant success, overnight fame, viral moments. The Stoics would gently remind us that nature works differently. The tallest trees spend years strengthening their roots before reaching toward the sky. A skilled craftsman spends thousands of hours perfecting techniques that no customer will ever notice. An athlete repeats the same simple movements countless times before anyone calls them extraordinary. Greatness has always been quiet before it becomes visible, and your life is no different. There will be days when no one notices your effort, days when your discipline feels invisible, days when your progress seems painfully slow. On those days, remember this: the seed never questions whether it's growing simply because no one can see it beneath the soil. Growth is often invisible long before it becomes undeniable. Your habits are your roots. Your discipline is your foundation. Your silence is protecting something far more valuable than your image. It is protecting your future. Marcus Aurelius understood that every human life is astonishingly brief. Kings and servants, warriors and philosophers, the famous and the forgotten. Time eventually carries them all forward. Knowing this, he asked himself a question that still echoes through history. If life is short, why waste it worrying about what other people think? It is a question worth asking ourselves today. How many opportunities have we delayed because we feared judgment? How many dreams have we abandoned because someone laughed? How many conversations have we replayed inside our minds instead of simply moving forward? Every hour spent seeking approval is an hour that cannot be invested in becoming wiser. Every unnecessary argument steals time from meaningful work. Every attempt to satisfy everyone leaves less energy to fulfill your own purpose. There is tremendous freedom in accepting a truth that many people spend decades avoiding. You will never be understood by everyone. Some people will judge you before they know you. Others will misunderstand your silence as weakness. Some may even dislike you simply because your discipline reminds them of the excuses they've accepted in their own lives. Let them, not because their opinions don't matter at all, but because they matter less than your character. You cannot build a meaningful life while constantly editing yourself to satisfy every audience. Eventually, you must choose. Will you build your reputation, or will you build yourself? The Stoics always chose the second, because they knew something extraordinary happens when you stop performing for the world. You begin living honestly, your decisions become clearer, your relationships become healthier, your mind becomes quieter. You no longer need to remember who you pretended to be. You simply become who you are, and perhaps that is the greatest reward of focusing on yourself. Not success, not admiration, not wealth. Those things may come, or they may not. The greatest reward is freedom. Freedom from comparison. Freedom from endless validation. Freedom from emotional dependence. Freedom from becoming a prisoner of other people's expectations. Imagine waking up each morning with no need to impress anyone. Imagine working because excellence has become part of your identity, not because you're hoping someone notices. Imagine facing criticism without feeling destroyed. Imagine walking away from unnecessary conflict because your peace has become more valuable than your pride. That is what the Stoics meant by inner freedom. It cannot be purchased. It cannot be given. It must be practiced every single day, one quiet decision at a time, one disciplined habit at a time, one calm response at a time. Perhaps people won't notice immediately. That's perfectly fine. The mountain doesn't become smaller because no one is looking at it. The sun doesn't ask for applause before it rises. The river doesn't announce where it is going. Nature accomplishes its greatest work without seeking recognition. You can do the same, so continue learning, continue improving, continue strengthening your mind, continue protecting your peace, continue becoming the person your future self will thank you for becoming. And whenever you're tempted to explain yourself, to seek approval, or to prove your worth, remember the wisdom that has guided great minds for nearly 2,000 years. Focus on yourself. Stay silent. Let your character become your reputation. Let your discipline become your voice. And let your life speak so clearly that your words become almost unnecessary. If this message resonated with you, don't let it become another video you simply watch. Choose one principle from today and practice it over the next week. Not perfectly, just consistently. Because lasting change is never created by one moment of inspiration. It is created by countless moments of quiet discipline. If you're committed to mastering your mind, strengthening your character, and living with the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, subscribe to Silent Stoic and continue this journey with us. Until next time, stay calm, stay disciplined, and remember the strongest life is the one built in silence.